Hello friends and greetings for the day. Welcome back to another tutorial on ISTQB Advance Test Manager certification. We are in chapter 1. We have covered all the tutorials. Now moving into the next, that is the sample questions of this chapter. As a part of this tutorial, first we will understand that what is the pattern of the examination. Of course, you are expecting a lot of K3 and K4 level questions from the chapter 1, and put together there will be at least 13 questions coming as mandatory plus maximum one selectable. That means here they have a choice to add an additional question from that 1.8.1 with an asterisk. So they have a choice to do that. Like if they want, they can ask you, otherwise they can just even ignore it. So you may have put together a total of 14 questions if they ask anything from 1.8.1, or just at least 13 mandatory questions will be there in your examination. So if you see that, like, for example, K4, K3 and K2, so which topic they will be specifically moving into K3 and K4, you need to put a lot of pressure there and more detailed understanding of everything. And this pattern is available on ISTQB.org. that can be visited at any point of time if you want to cross-check. Moving to the very first question, I think I'll be just discussing only limited questions during the tutorials, but of course at the end of the session I'll add more sample questions one after the other to add more value, because these are scenario based questions, and of course it's going to take a lot of time to discuss each one of them. This cannot be done with a 10 or 15 minutes tutorial, so I'll be taking a lot of other questions at the end of the entire series. So getting started with the very first question, you are the test manager working on a project development, developing a tourist information mobile application team. First of all, I'm extremely sorry about the context and the font here, because these are quite lengthy questions, okay? And we cannot just accommodate everything on the slide deck. So I'm still trying to push everything so that you can see everything together. But please refer to the official sample question, which is available on ISTQB.org for a detailed understanding. If in case you are watching this on mobile, it's highly impossible to read anything. If you're watching on a desktop or laptop, then I think it's quite comfortable. Make it full screen in order to understand better. All right, just quick repeat. You are the test manager working on a project developing tourist information mobile application. The project recently switched to an agile process and test-driven development. Each development cycle lasts at least 15 days with daily builds beginning at 7. That is day 7, you start with the daily builds. And before that, of course, you have a lot of other activities happening. After day 10, no new features are allowed to be added. And the development team is composed of very experienced team members who are proud of their work but not tolerant of testing teams. So very first important thing right here in the paragraph, you start making a note of it, or probably start pinting out that number 1 is that you are following agile, and number 2 that after day 10 no new features are allowed to be added. So other 5 days are only for testing, but at the same time you do say that the team is not tolerant of the testing members. Now the requirements are written down as coarse grained. Uses stories like the following one. Coarse grain means that it's very brief, not fine. So very coarse, and it just means that it's very brief. So you can have a look on the sample one here. Use story 330, search nearest matching hotel. As a casual user at an unfamiliar location, I want to get information on the nearest hotel matching my financial and comfort profile best. Priority high, estimate 7 out of 10. Now the software depends on existing web services which are stopped during development. Unit testing is done by developers, while system and acceptance is done by testing team. System tests in early development cycles are often blocked due to severe failures of newly developed features. So that's another point which you should be targeting on, that it gets blocked due to the I cannot prepone my system testing much earlier in the life cycle. Now analysis shows that many of these failures could have been found during unit test. Analysis of issues found during production show that 30% of performance problems were due to the unreliable web services. That's the fourth point which you're getting, that other than the basic failures, you also have some performance degradation which are due to the unreliable third-party suppliers. Now, primary test objective are to mitigate the perceived performance risk. Now, your primary objective is about performance testing and to increase the confidence that no failure with high severity will occur in user stories with priority greater than or equal to high. Okay, so now the main objective is talking about the performance risk and to increase the confidence by reducing the failures which you are getting because of the new features which are integrated. Now, and that is for priority greater than or equal to high. Moreover, upper manager demanded for closer cooperation of tester and developers. Of course, the management always look for the better cooperation and collaboration between the teams. Pick any two options which you think is the right at this moment. So what exactly do you think you should be taking care of? And that should be like at this point of time, you are talking about considering, certain parameters which you just saw, and this is how you try to reevaluate any concerns which you see as a part of the question and start making a point on what exactly it is. So now, the final question here is, which of the following test activities or work products will achieve the test objective the best? So now you have to concentrate on the scenario and the objective, and then you have to look on the options and pick up the most relevant activity or the work product which you will consider in order to meet your objective. So here, I will not go with discussing the other options. Let's go with the straightforward answer. The right answer is B and E. Why? B says identification of external web services and enforcement of service level agreement. I think the most important thing here, your primary objective is to mitigate the performance risk, and performance risk is due to the web services delivered by the third party supplier. So identify those web services which are creating those issues and enforce a service level agreement in order to deliver that what you really need in order to integrate to your product. So of course that will be the first and foremost thing to mitigate your first of the part of your objective. And the second is automated performance testing of user stories with priority greater than or equal to high, done by tester during system test with test execution starting on the day 10. Now that's the absolutely thing, system testing, at least you cannot prepone. Then of course you can start on day 10 itself, because unit testing are done by developers. So that can be very well done between 7 to 10. Day 7 and day 10, you can do that unit testing, of course. So these are the two relevant options which you will be picking up based on the scenario. You can very well look into the other options which you see or thought that what could be, and you will get to know that why these options will not be the right answer. Let's look at the second question here. The second question is also a scenario-based question and could be taking slightly longer. Assume that you are working on an ambitious startup. They are creating a system that will provide customized loyalty and reward programs for small and medium-sized companies selling to customer on the web, or selling to customer on the web. These companies enroll themselves on the system's web store. This allows the companies to create customized buttons to be placed on their websites that let customer enroll in the company's loyalty and reward program. Now, what exactly it is just that, like, for example, I'm company X. I have a loyalty program for all the customers, and there are different vendors or different organizations who want their customers to enroll for this loyalty. For example, I might be a bank, okay, providing the loyalty program on my credit cards. But of course, any merchant like Flipkart, Amazon, ShopClues, anyone can have this button that you can be a part of this loyalty program and you can earn rewards for whatever you're shopping. So that is the same scenario here. Now, to be placed on the, so each subsequent purchases earns point, and both companies and their customers can manage the program, for example, to determine the number of points required to receive a free product or service. So what kind of accumulation of points you must have to redeem them. Your employer's marketing staff are heavily promoting the system, offering aggressive discounts on the first year's fees to sign up inaugural companies. The marketing materials state that the service will be highly reliable and extremely fast for companies and their customers. So that's the job of the marketing team anyways, and they are doing pretty good job to give them as much a discount as possible to sign up, and of course they ask you for the second time. At this time, the requirements are complete. Now that's where something important starts. Okay. Now this is how you distribute the things. Till here it was just the application. Now something important starts which you need to concentrate on. So at this time, the requirements are complete and the development of the software has just begun. The current schedule will allow companies and their customers to start enrolling in 3 months of time. That means we are still in the early development phases. Your employer intends to use cloud computing resources to host this service, and we to have no hardware resources other than ordinary office computers for its developers, testers, and other engineers and manager as well. Industry standard web-based application software components will be used to build the system. So that means everything is being available in open source code and you're just going to integrate them. You're not going to have any kind of heavy infrastructure or test lab to test them. Now consider the following risk item. We are talking about the risk identification here that was identified during quality risk analysis process. What is the risk? Customized enrollment buttons for a company's website are not assigned the correct URL for the company's loyalty program. For example, if I go to Flipkart and click on the loyalty program button, it's not taking me to the right URL where I can register myself for the loyalty program. Now that's a risk which we have identified, and it is a product risk. That's from the end user point of view. Now assume that you have used traceability to determine the logical test cases that cover this risk item. That's a very good point, that you have got a traceability already established for monitoring that what number of test cases and what are those test cases which you have written to mitigate this risk. Which of the following is a positive logical test that is complete, is correct, and covers this risk item? Now positive logical test case which is complete, correct, and covers this risk item. Of course, we have got 4 options here. No matter you have a big lengthy scenario, sometimes they just ask you a simple question at the end of the day. So you need to just concentrate on those kind of things that you don't have to put a lot of pressure to get to the right answer. The 4 options are: A, click rapidly on company enrollment button to see what happens. B, click on URL for our homepage, check that homepage displays. And C, click on company's enrollment button, verify that you go to the company's enrollment page. And D, click on company enrollment button, verify that you go to our homepage. I think it's just that they wanted you to concentrate on the entire scenario. But at the end of the day, this is very, very simple. And if you know a very good understanding of testing, even not a test manager, you can answer this. Because the right answer here is C. Click on company's enrollment button, verify that you go to the company's enrollment page. Now, of course, why A is not correct? There's no point clicking repeatedly. And what happens? No, we have an objective. We want to achieve that. So not just with a blank question mark saying that what happens next we are not aware of. We are not doing exploratory testing. We are doing a formal testing. We know what is the risk. We know what is the test case. And it is going to be complete, of course, in all manners. So what happens next is incomplete. B, click on URL for our homepage. Homepage is not our concern. Our concern is the enrollment button and the loyalty program. And D as in Delta, click on company's enrollment button, verify that you go to our homepage. That's also not a right set of test case which you will be doing or executing in order to meet the expectation. Well, so that was all from this particular tutorial, team. I'm going to just cover limited questions because of course you know that this tutorial has already gone lengthy, but it is really important to give you some idea when you have some typical questions with you in order to understand that how exactly the questions can be tricky, might sound tricky, but not actually tricky. All these things you need to be aware of. Because at the end of the day, it's you who will be writing the examination and you need to be very patient to understand everything in order to finally pick up the right answer at the end of the day. Well, so I'll be getting back to you with more questions probably at the end of the series. But till then, just try to explore. And if you have anything else, just feel free to drop a comment below. Probably we can talk about it in our upcoming sessions or maybe in the live sessions on Saturdays. So that's all from this particular episode, team. Should you have anything else, feel free to comment below. I'm always there to address your queries and respond to them well. Till then, keep learning, keep exploring, keep understanding the context. Thanks for watching the video, team, and happy learning.